Okay, it's 2:01. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here for International Student Orientation. This is International Services and Engagement Office's session on unlocking research opportunities at UC San Diego for graduate students. I just want to begin with some introductions. My name is Sai Krishna Bhamadipati. My pronouns are he and they. I'm a PhD candidate in the School of Biological Sciences, and I'm also a grad student intern at the International Services and Engagement Office, often abbreviated as ISEO. So before we begin, I have some housekeeping rules for today. You're in listen only mode, which means you can hear us, but we cannot hear you. This session is being recorded, and shortly after this session, you will be able to view this recording at inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. You're welcome to ask questions using the Q&A feature at any time during this seminar, and we will get to it. And you can also contact us after the seminar at icontact.ucsd.edu. Lastly, please stick around until the end. We have a survey at the end of the session where you will be entered automatically in a giveaway. You get Amazon gift cards if you're chosen. So please stick around for that part. So once again, the session is called Unlocking Research Opportunities at UC San Diego. Today, I'm sorry, is that someone asking a question? Okay, I'm gonna assume someone accidentally unmuted themselves. All right, this session is called Unlocking Research Opportunities at UC San Diego, and the structure of this session is going to be relaxed. Today we have some campus partners, mainly from the library and the writing hub at Engage Teaching Hub UC San Diego, who are going to present some resources, and then we have a special Grad Slam feature, and then we have a student panel where all the incoming students can ask all their research-related questions to existing students. With that, I'm going to pass it off to Leah and Sarah to introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leah Friedman. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the librarian for communications, visual arts, film, and critical gender studies at the library.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the graduate writing tutor coordinator over at the Writing Hub, which is a part of the Teaching and Learning Commons.
With that, let's start with the library. Leah, take it away.
You got me mid mouthful. I apologize. Thank you so much, Sai, and I'm so glad that everyone is here today. I'm going to go over just some very basic things about the library, with the caveat that we strongly encourage you to get in touch with us if you have questions. Stay till the end to ask me questions. And the first thing that I want to point out is at the top there, where we encourage you to set up your library account as soon as you are here on campus. This will allow you to do things like request books or materials from other libraries in the UC system, and other libraries around the world, essentially. It also will allow you to do things internally, like if you needed to renew a book. So it's just a great thing to get set up and have going now. We have this Get Started guide, which is a link to the homepage of the library's main page. And there's information, again, this sort of basic information. It's a great thing to include in a syllabus, or if you forget anything that I've talked to you about today. In terms of where to look for sources, we have three sort of big main pots, but there are lots of other ones. UC Library Search is the catalog that we have at the main page of the library's website. And that is where you would search for books, articles, sound recordings, films, things like that. And if you're looking for more specifically just books and articles, you can also go to the Research and Collections tab you'll see here. And then we have these guides that we're calling them here research guides. And within the library, we often call them LibGuides, so you might hear them referred to as that. But these are guides that are broken down into great big broad pots, and they are perfect because they are subject specific, but like I said, they're big. So you might find one for biology, which is a huge subject, obviously, but it's a great place to get started. And it is a great place for you to find the librarian who is the liaison for that subject. So we have librarians that are the liaisons for most subjects at UCSD. And that just means that we have some expertise in that field. Some of the librarians will have a second master's degree or even a PhD in that subject. And so you know that the information that they're providing for you is useful and good. There's a section for events. Probably not going to be a ton of events coming up in the near future, but there's that section as well. And then lib answers right here. Don't get stuck, ask us for help. And really, that's just a great place to come if you are stuck, you are looking for something specific, you know it exists, you found it before, you can't find it again, you need it quickly. There are a number of different ways to contact the library with 24/7 chat. And we have the research assistance desk where you can come and ask us questions in person. And you can also set up a consultation. And those are very, I strongly recommend people do that. Students, grad students, TAs, whatever it is that you need help with. And that way you can actually sort of have a one-on-one via Zoom with the librarian from your subject and get some answers. And then the last thing on this page, which is actually the most important thing on this page, in my opinion, is the VPN. So everyone should set up the VPN. I would strongly encourage you, if you are working with students, to drill this into their heads from the very beginning. Make sure that you set up your VPN using the all through UCSD setting. That is the other important thing there. And this will allow you to access all of the library's resources from off campus, from other spaces, if you are, going away for the weekend. And then there are, in fact, some databases that are a little bit wonky, and you will need the VPN, in fact, to access them even on campus. So again, strongly recommend that you do that. Next slide. We have consultation office hours here, and you can check that out under the consultation spaces. We have a research data curation program where we have a librarian who is the research data curation librarian, and she will help you with consultations if you need help with data management or any other data needs. To piggyback on that, you'll see that we have a data and GIS lab in the library, very useful, and has specialized software and databases in the lab itself that can help you if you're doing data and GIS projects. We have a whole section here for scholarly communication support, for questions about open access or publishing, and I strongly recommend that you get in touch with them if you have any questions about any of that. And then you remember that I was talking about those guides that we have, those lib guides. And what you'll see here is that we, in a lot of cases, are very open to creating a guide for your class, if you're teaching a class, or even better, being invited into the class via Zoom or in person to teach a specialized research class that allows your students to understand how best to access resources at the library and to ask questions of a librarian. And we can also create those course guides that are specialized to that specific class. So it would include databases that perhaps I would suggest, specific information that you would want to have highlighted, and then those are created for the class. Those are not something that we can do a very quick turnaround on, so that's something that we need a little bit of notice on, but other than that, we are often very, very happy to do that. If you have any questions, I'll be here at the end and you can feel free to ask me then. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leah. With that, let's move to the teaching and learning commons. Sarah, please take it away.
Thank you, Sai. So I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit more about something that can help you all as you engage with academic writing as a writer and as a researcher, especially. Um, I'm from the Writing Hub, so some of the things that we do is we help writers, we help build networks of support around writing and that process, cultivate a sense of agency over your work, and fostering sustainable and healthy writing practices as part of your overall research journey. So some of the things that we offer are one-on-one writing consultations. These are with trained graduate student tutors. So they're all students themselves from across disciplines at UCSD that are trained to help with folks from any program with any kind of writing at any stage. So even if you want to bring in your ideas for your project, you're very able to come in for a brainstorming session. You don't have to have a final draft to be able to make an appointment. We also offer daily the virtual writing room. So this is weekday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. We also have some in-person options if you prefer to be in community with other writers in person. But during these 2 hours, there's no commitment. You don't have to RSVP. You can just come in, bring your project, set a goal at the beginning of the session, and work in community with other folks who brought in their project with the guidance of one of our grad consultants who can help you if you get stuck at any point along the way. So in their sessions, they're able to do a kind of mini consultation where they answer any questions that might come up for you as you're working, and you'll be able to check in on your goals before you leave the session for that day. It's really flexible and kind of up to your schedule. So I highly encourage if you're looking for something that's a little bit more adaptable to your schedule. We also offer graduate writing retreats, which are longer chunks of time that are dedicated to writing in community with folks. The difference between the writing room and retreats is that retreats are multi-session events that you're committing to. So let's say you're doing a weekday morning retreat and you've got 3 consecutive days with maybe 3 or 4 hours built in to do some writing, and they start off with a mini workshop to talk through sustainable practices and give you tips and strategies to help sustain that practice. So that's a little bit more about retreats. We offer them depending on the quarter, the dates and times might change, but this will all be available on our website, which is thewritinghub.ucsd.edu. So if you want to check that out, you can find all of that information there. We also offer writing workshops for graduate students. The topics depend on the quarter, so they change on a quarterly basis. This coming quarter, we'll be offering workshops on reading in graduate school, writing in graduate school, and how to get good advisor feedback on your writing. So these are all things that are available to you free of charge. A lot of the resources are remote, so they're highly adaptable to your schedule. And of course, there are in-person options if you are someone who might benefit more from being in person. We're located actually inside the library. So this building here that's in my background. And you can come in and see us anytime. So that's a little bit more about us. I will go ahead and go to the next slide. So just to kind of reiterate, learning how to write is really about learning how to participate in this broader research community within your field. It's not necessarily a question of talent, but rather a combination of immersion and lots of practice, and also mistakes that are a necessary part of the process and a normal part of the process. So it's a very slow and evolving kind of understanding of how to speak and to be in your given discipline in order to contribute to that research. And you do have agency in the way that you participate in this kind of broader academic field that you're in. So thinking about how the Writing Hub fits into this process, we'll go ahead and go to the next slide, just to kind of reiterate the different ways that the Writing Hub can help enhance this process for you, again, through the consultations. These are individual, as I mentioned before. You can decide if you would like to book a half-hour session or a 1-hour session. Some folks decide to hold regular sessions with the same consultant for the same project, and they find that very helpful. Some people just bring things in when they want a second pair of eyes. Others, kind of depending on the project, will bring it in at various points up until completion. So we also work with different application materials. So if you wanted to, let's say, apply for a research grant and you're not sure how to proceed with those materials, you could bring them in. Our consultants will take a look at it and help kind of coach you through the writing and editing of those materials. So if you'd like to book an appointment, the link is actually listed here. So ucsd.mywconline.com. You can make a profile there, and then you'll have access to our full schedule of graduate writing consultants and their shifts, and choose the one that works best for you. This will actually be live early next week. So if you want to make your profile now and start looking for appointments as early as next week, then you'll be able to do so. Same with any of our other services. They will be updated on our website starting early next week, so you can take a look at the dates and times for everything that will work for you, and sign up accordingly for the ones that fit your interests and your needs. So one final reminder, we do work with any kind of graduate level writing, so it doesn't only have to be your research. It could be, once you get to that point of writing a dissertation, you can bring those materials in. Things that you hope to publish in your field, you're able to bring in. As I mentioned before, application materials, even abstracts or things that you're co-authoring with other people. You're able to work with one of our consultants to develop those projects. So we hope to see you at some of our events in the fall. And here is the QR code with the link to our website so that you can take a look at it once things are up and running for the coming quarter. But thank you all so much, and I will hand things off to who's next.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So yeah, we heard from two wonderful campus resources. I hope everyone's had a chance to scan the QR code. Before we move on, since this session is about all things research, we have a special feature of Grad Slam, which is an annual contest where grad students, are supposed to present their research in 3 minutes in a way that's accessible to a general audience. So today we are very lucky to have with us Iris, who is not only a UCSD-wide champion, but a UC-wide champion. So Iris, please take it away, and Iris is going to tell us about her Grad Slam experience today.
Sure, yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to everyone. So yeah, I heard about the Grad Slam, and it has a little bit of a monetary prize, just for submitting a short 3-minute video. So that's why I was like, oh, you know what? It won't hurt to just try it out and like be able to try and communicate my research in a way that's reachable to many audiences. And this was especially fun because there are people in my life, and I'm sure all of your lives, who aren't in your field. Like it could be family or partners, or I don't know, even a neighbor or somebody. And sometimes, they'll just ask, like, what do you do in grad school? What do you do? So it was like such a wonderful skill to be able to hone. And I think it was a great thing that everyone should just try to participate in. And I didn't expect to like go so far, but we have, so like once you make it to a finalist round, so if you have a video that sort of is like in the top 10 of all the videos, which Sai also was one of them, then we like start to meet all together on campus and kind of like give feedback to each other and make each other's presentations better. And that was like, I think, one of the highlights of the whole Grad Slam experience, because it's really difficult to associate with people on campus that are not in your program and are doing something like you totally don't understand. Like for me, I do neuroscience, but I learned about a little bit more about artificial intelligence and magnetism. And so it's so great to be able to not only like make a community with different people across campus, but also to actually hear what other people are doing and actually understand because of just the nature of grad slam. So I think this is one of the greatest experiences I had in grad school, especially because grad school is hard, and you don't often get rewarded with your hard work, or like not rewarded, but it's hard to be validated, you know, because you're just working towards something. There's no like exam or like project that you turn in. You're just like constantly working on a big question. So this was just a fun, awesome way to be like, oh, this is what I do, and get a little bit of recognition for it. And the community was really great on campus. And yeah, I also after having won at the campus one, got to meet all the other campus champions in San Francisco. They flew me out to the LinkedIn office building, which was very fancy. And I met all the other contestants from different universities. So it was like an even greater community. Yeah, and I think it was fun because in the greater competition also there's like a sort of popularity vote. So it was fun to like text a bunch of friends and just say like, oh, just watch my thing and maybe you'll get what I'm doing with all my time. And maybe you could vote for me. And so I recommend just trying it out. I think it was a good fun thing, and I think I will like. I'm so excited to defend, and so if you didn't see my speech, I call the blood-brain barrier the Bubba Bouncer, and I'm so excited for the Bubba Bouncer to return to my thesis defense. So that's something that I wouldn't be able to do had I not participated in the grad slam. Yay.
Thank you so much, Iris. That was wonderful. With that, let's move on to the interactive part of the session, which is the panel. So we understand that today the attendees are from a wide range of programs across campus and also different degree levels, master's and PhD. So we wanted to do a session where, especially when I joined, I had a lot of questions about how do you go about finding these opportunities? How do you pick an advisor? What are some best practices? So, and I know from interacting with friends that we all kind of start in the same boat. So this session, we are hoping to answer some of those questions to help you all get started. We understand that the way research works is different in different programs. So it might not be a very specific, tailored session for your program, but this is, we hope this serves as a jumping off point, and feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we will go through some questions, some FAQs that we have prepared for our panel today. So first, let's start with introducing our panel members. First, we have Melody. Melody, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, Sai. My name is Melody Vaziar Catalano. I am the Assistant Director of Graduate Programs in the School of Biological Sciences. I was also, once upon a time, a doctoral student at UC San Diego myself, in education studies. So I have a wide breadth of knowledge and experience on research opportunities through different departments.
Iris, do you want to do a quick reintroduction?
Yes, hello. It's me, Iris. I am an MD PhD student in the Neurosciences grad program. I'm in the Denman lab.
Pranav?
Hey, I'm Pranav. I'm a fourth year PhD student in the Electrical and Computer Engineering department, and I work with Turakia Lab.
Param?
Hey, I'm Param. I'm a master student at the ECE department, and I'm currently doing research in the Ganesh lab in the pharmacy building.
Elisa?
Hi everyone, my name is Elisa Panishkina. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a BSMS student in biological sciences. And currently I'm doing my master's in Dr. Yak's lab, who is part of UCSD Medical School, actually.
Veronica?
Hi everyone, my name is Veronica Matishik. I'm a second year PhD student in biological sciences, and I'm working at Uri Manner's lab.
And Ramon?
Good afternoon, I'm Raymond. I'm a PhD student in the Bioinformatics System Biology, second year, under the supervision of Dr. Kevin King, which is between bioengineering and the School of Medicine.
Okay, thank you. That was our panel. So let's get started with the first question. So I'm just going to throw this question out to our panelists. How do students typically get involved in research in your program? Is this something that's part of your program, or is it something you take on as an additional opportunity? So that would mean, is your program more coursework oriented or research based, or is it choose your own adventure kind of thing? Feel free to jump in.
There are students in both of the programs I administer in the room, so I'd love to let them answer for biological sciences.
Okay, I can go. Thanks, Melody. So in biology, we do start with classes, but we also do rotations unless we are directly admitted. And we do 4 rotations up to, and then we can do 6. And then we find our advisor, and then we join a lab, and most of our life as a grad student is doing research. So making a right decision is very important. But that's why we have the rotations. So we have 6 weeks, 4 times with different professors to work with.
For BSMS, it's a little bit different because you start as a bachelor's and you're not necessarily always involved in research, and you usually typically find an advisor with whom you might want to work, and you start volunteering in their lab, and then you start taking a specific BIS 199 class during undergrad. You can take up to 3 classes. And then your last quarter, you apply to be BSMS and you might be accepted. And if you're accepted, you continue doing your research up to 6 consecutive quarters. So actually, if you've done 3 as undergrad, you'll be able only to do 3 more. I mean, not only, but it depends on your project, but you're required to do at least 3 more quarters. Yeah. And it's heavily research-based. So once you're a master's student, you're going to have to take some coursework, but most of your work is still going to be research.
So in the ECA department, if you are admitted into the PhD program, so you are typically admitted with a fellowship, which means that typically you with the fellowship, it is written that with who like the advisor's name with whom you'll start your research, but it also gives you an opportunity to try out different labs or different interest areas. And as far as the coursework goes, you have to take some courses as well in your area of specialization to get some skills which will help you in research. So that's pretty much it. But that being said, because of the fellowship opportunity, you are free to change your advisor than compared to the one who gave you an admit, and you are not bounded it in any way.
I think for the master's program in the ECA department, students usually have a choice of either taking a thesis track or pursuing the exam coursework. But even if you end up taking the exam track, you can still like volunteer in any lab and kind of get started with research. You can also get credits for doing that, like doing research, even if you're on the comprehensive exam track. And you can also explore different departments for your research and interest, like cross collaboration kind of stuff. Uh, that is something I would like to add.
Before we move on, I have a quick question for Pranav. Pranav, you said you were a direct admit, right? How does that work? How did you choose your advisor? Did you reach out to them beforehand? How does that come to be?
Oh, so all that happens before you get an admit. Like you mention the names of the people who you would want to work with, and then they interact with you, they give you an admit. So even if they give you an admit, it's written that onto the admit letter that you will be working with them, but the fellowship gives you an opportunity to change your advisor if you feel things are not going well. So that gives you an additional flexibility to explore different PIs and different areas. so it's for, I think the fellowship is for the initial 3 quarters. So it's fairly a long enough time for you to figure out what you want to do.
Got it. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question, which is, what are the common mistakes you have made or you see your peers make when seeking research opportunities?
I can take that one as a starters. As Veronica said, I think that getting a lab is something really important. You will be working for the lab, especially as a PhD student, for a very long time. And I feel like most people usually tend to focus on the success of this lab and the project itself, which is an important thing to do, but they are just focusing on that. And I think that you should draw your expected, like, what are you looking for? And also take a good attention on the environment, the people that you will be working with, because at the end of the day, you will be sharing this space 8 hours per day at the very least for the next 4 years. So it's not just about the project, but also the people that you're going to work with and for.
Yeah, to just piggyback off of what was just said, at least at the doctoral level, you're entering into a really long relationship with someone in a lab, and that's a big decision to make. Sometimes at this point in life, this might be the longest relationship you're entering into, professionally, personally. And so it's really important to think about what you need. When I was a doctoral student, I actually had to change advisors, and it really made me think about what I needed as a student to be successful. What kind of mentorship did I need? I was very concrete. I like deadlines. I like to, check things off my list. Like, you need 20 pages by the end of the week. Okay, that's something I can do. I needed regular check-ins, and I wasn't getting that with my first advisor, although they were brilliant. They were an expert in the area of my research. They were a very kind person. It just wasn't a match for what I needed as a student to be successful. So I think one thing that students don't sometimes don't do is consider the long view of what that's going to look like and what you really need as an individual, and also what the expectations are of the person on the other side, your supervisor, your advisor, and what that looks like for them. And if there's a mismatch, chances are, like in any other kind of relationship, friendships, family, partner relationships, that if there's a mismatch from the beginning, it's harder to find that compromise in between. So really just asking good questions and considering who you are and what kind of support you need to get through this really demanding and long kind of marathon you're on as a graduate student.
Does any other panelist have something they would like to weigh in? Doesn't have to be a big mistake. It could be a small one, a silly one, or something you wish you knew.
One thing I think is important, and it's not necessarily a mistake, but it's something that can be avoided, is communicating with your mentor advisor, and because it takes time to understand your relationship. So it is important to communicate your needs and the way you work. And I think most professors here are really open and try to be better mentors. So it's not one fits all. So if you just tell them what you need, they're usually very responsive.
Any other thoughts before we move on to the next question? Okay, let's move on. So when should students start reaching out to faculty? Again, I know this depends on the program. Sometimes you're expected to have already reached out before you come onto campus, or sometimes you have the flexibility to do that when you're already here in your first quarter. So if folks would like to share their experiences about how that looks like in your program.
I would say they can already like start reaching out to professors. It's usually like probably can be avoided during the breaks because even professors are on a break and they probably might not respond immediately. But this seems to be a good time to like just reach out and put a mail and see what they have got.
Yeah, I would say that it's never too early to reach out to a professor, especially in those programs that are rotations. Professors cannot have like 10 rotating students. So as soon as they commit with someone, they are not going to be able to get to you. So as soon as possible. And also it's never too late. Like even if you are in the middle of the semester and you want to reach out to the professor, just try it. And I guess that it was related with the previous question as well, but some common mistake that I've seen is that people just send one email and don't get any answer. That doesn't mean that the professor is not interested in you. It means that he's really busy. So try to reach out again, or maybe try to find people in the lab, like a postdoc or senior PhD students, and try to reach out to them because there's professors who receive hundreds of emails. So a non-response doesn't mean that there's no interest. So try to follow up after a couple of days or with some of their students.
And just a follow up to that, sometimes they even have an office phone number, so you might be able to reach out to them via phone number to their office, because sometimes, you know, you get hundreds of emails in a day, and of course, your email may be lost. So if you reach out by phone, it might be, I don't know, faster if they pick up.
I'm going to second the alternative form of communication. Not all of our faculty, but some of our faculty are from a different generation, and getting people on the phone is a lot easier. I know that's not true of necessarily the folks that are in the room with us right now, but you'd be surprised how quickly you can get someone on the phone just at different generations.
Given how busy professors are, what are the panel's thoughts on cold emailing? Did you typically wait until one professor got back before reaching out to the next, or are you just bombarding all the professors on your list with emails at once? Are some strategies better than others? What are your experiences when it comes to just approaching faculty?
So I can take that. So basically, what happens is like you do not just want to send a cold email like, "Hey, I want to work on this." In an ideal scenario, you might want to put in some effort trying to understand what they're working on, read a couple of papers, and because you will be busy with your quarter system, so it takes some time. So I think parallelly emailing a lot of faculty members won't even be possible. But make sure that start with the professor whose research you like the most and send a mail. It shouldn't be too long, just a couple of lines, so that they know that you have actually put in some effort reading about their research, instead of just cold emailing a bunch of them. So if they see some effort, then the probability of getting a response also increases. So these are my thoughts.
I can agree with that. I think like you shouldn't be afraid to email as many professors as you'd like, but if you email the people that you really care about, it'll show in the way that you email, because you will be more interested. You can like cite their work, or another way you can sort of like narrow down your list of professors you might reach out to is you can, you know, word of mouth of people in the program, or you can even reach out to students that are in their lab, and then maybe you don't even have to like email them and read all their papers or anything. So then you can kind of figure out that list on your own as well.
I was just going to say, especially for rotation programs, most of the faculty know that students are shopping for a lot of different rotations, different time periods. And so I think just being really honest in your email too, you know, I would love to do a rotation with you. And then kind of prioritizing your top, like the other folks said, you know, if you've got a 1 or 2 people you really want to prioritize them. And then with other people, you can use more general language of, I would love to do a rotation with you at some point. And just kind of being clear in your communication that way leaves you open in case one of your top priority faculty say, yes, I want you in my first rotation, I'll take you. Just kind of leaves the door open.
And I think something to be mentioned, I'm not sure if there are bachelor students here who are thinking about master opportunities, but also something mentioned in Q&A is that you can take a class and you can go to office hours, and if you're interested, because a lot of professors towards the end and sometimes in the middle of the course, they show the work that they're doing, the graphs that they're doing. Some upper division courses that I was taking, it was actually more like a seminar, and we had 10 different lecturers. So they were coming and talking about the disease that they were working with, and they were interested in taking students, and they were saying it. So never hesitate to reach out, never hesitate to come up at the end of the class. Never, if they have office hours opportunities, always take that opportunity. Even you might not work with that professor, they might recommend you another professor. That's happened to me before. And I went to office hours to one person and they told me, oh my God, this is something that you're really interested in. You should reach out to that professor and start working in the lab. So I would say communicate as much as you can, be open as much as you can, and opportunities might find you even.
Thank you. Let's move on to advice about research in San Diego. Did people on the panel, did you have experience, research experience from other institutions? And did you find that to be different in how the environment is at UC San Diego?
I can start. So I've done research at the University of Virginia for 2 years, and I'm also international. I'm from Europe, so I worked in Poland, and then I had a research experience in Paris and in France. And I have to say that UCSD, and it may be dependent on the professors that I worked with, but UCSD definitely has a lot of resources, and it's easy to do experiments here. It's easy to start projects here because it's a very collaborative environment. And then I think the research is really well founded here. So I've never had a problem when I told my professor, and actually it's very encouraged that they would be like, oh, you want to do this? That's awesome. I'm going to connect you with this person, and then we can have this person help you. And then we're going to do this experiment and it's going to be great. So that's a big difference that I saw here compared to other ones, that it really is easy to do a lot of breakthrough science here.
Any other quick thoughts before we move on to the next slide? Okay. We kind of covered this a little bit, so I'm going to skip ahead to the next slide, just so we can fit as many questions as we can in our time we have. Work-life balance. Does anyone have any tips on how you strive to maintain a work-life balance? Is it possible? Is it easier some times of the year than other? I'm sure answers are weighted, but can someone please get it started?
Since I've been working with graduate students on this campus for almost 10 years now, so I have their experience, I have my own experience. I worked full-time in my position and went to graduate school in the evenings and weekends. So one thing that somebody told me that I thought was really helpful when I approached this endeavor was, you can have it all, but you might not be able to have it all at the same time. And so that was really helpful for me in kind of scheduling my life in such a way that I was able to accomplish this really important thing that I was, had been working towards for a very long time, but also that other important things like weddings and births of your friends' children and your family members and all that kind of stuff wasn't getting lost, or going back to your home country to visit your family. And so I think you can have it all. You just have to really think about it. And it's important to ask for help. Sometimes things just keep moving and people get excited, and you've been doing so much, and people think you can keep doing so much. Some weeks you might be able to work 12 hours a week, and that's great because you have momentum. And other weeks you might not be able to work that much, and it's okay to set those boundaries. And one thing that I did was I just set aside time. And I put my phone on do not disturb. And so if I was writing, those 5 hours I was writing, my phone was on do not disturb, no one was bothering me. And it kind of just kept me focused on what I needed to be doing. So I think work-life balance is a challenge for everyone at every stage in life, but that piece of advice that you can have it all, you might not just be able to have it at the same time was really helpful for me.
I think I would like to add something. As a student, we try to do a lot and we want to do a lot of things. So it might be a personal opinion, but uh, like not thinking about work-life balance too much actually helps in doing that. You just plan things that you want to do, adjust times accordingly, and just don't think the word work-life balance, and you should be great.
One good advice that I was also given at one of the conferences is that before you start, make a list of hobbies that you really enjoy and from which you really relax. And keep that in mind because sometimes I found myself wanting to do more work that I could, but knowing that, for example, for me, relaxation is reading book in my native language just on a balcony for 20 minutes gives me a lot of energy in order to continue writing, for example, or a lot of energy because at that moment I'm reading something else. I'm not thinking about the research. I'm not thinking about anything else. And I make my own, like my favorite tea, and I'm just sitting. And this is moment for me without anyone else. And sometimes you might be reading and still thinking about your life, but it still provides you that disconnect moment, I would say, from everything outside your house. So yeah, I think it's very important to be true to yourself and still remembering that research is a very big part of your life, but you still have other parts of your life which was before it, which took you to that point. So maybe you should be keeping up, maybe not at that percentage anymore that you want, but still keeping it in your life.
Okay, so all things that have been said so far, would any of the panelists say those things would differ, or is there more nuance to the things we've already discussed that might look different specifically for international students interested in research here at UCSD that might not be the same for domestic students? Any things that might be of specific interest to our attendees today?
I think maybe, Sai, it goes back to a little bit more about like, how do you choose advisor or mentor or lab to work in? I would say especially if you're a PhD student and you're here for many years, if you need to go home, that's a conversation you want to have because going across the world, 16-hour flight is not something you can do for a weekend. I know my family is on the other side of the world too. So it is time intensive, it is expensive financially. And so if you know that at some point that's something you want to do, maybe talk about that and see if that's something that they would support, or that could be supported with the type of research that you're doing. So having those conversations early, I think, is important so you're not disappointed down the road.
Any other thoughts? Was this something people had a conversation with their PIs before they started their research? That's one thing, but are there anything else, any other things that do you think is maybe different for international students or additional things to consider?
Well, I would say that I 100% agree on that of needing this conversation about being able to go home or even kind of work remotely. For me, it's really important to be able to go there at the very, very least once per year. And that's a conversation I had even before joining. 100% agree on that. But also, I also would say that be prepared if you have to look for funding, be prepared to have to work harder on that because as internationals, we have fewer options and very competitive. Well, all funding is very competitive, no matter if you're national or international. But as internationals, if you want to a predoctoral fellowship, there's few that we can apply. Similar with funding from labs. Most labs in the bio space have funding from NIH. which is funding that they cannot probably allocate for international students. So funding can be sometimes a challenge, but there's options and you will be able to figure it out for sure.
So again, I was a bachelor's at UCSD, and something that I've heard not only from myself, but from other people is that when you're an international student, sometimes in your home country, research might not be really an opportunity. So for me, I never thought of myself of doing research at all. Like for me, it was a medical school track that I was on, and I really wanted to become a doctor one day. And then my friends, once I made some friends at UCSD, and I didn't even think about it, didn't even start thinking about research. And one of my friends, really good friends, told me that he's applying to BSMS. And I looked at it and I was like, why don't they try? And I tried and I loved it. And I'm not even sure if I will continue with my medical school I don't know, goal before that I had. So I would highly recommend, especially like if you're a bachelor student, I would highly recommend trying it out. Even if you were not thinking about it, like maybe just volunteering, maybe taking a class. You never know what you're gonna like, and UCZ definitely provides a lot of opportunities for trying and finding something that you like, or maybe you will try it and understand that medical school is something that you for sure want to do. So I think it's always good to try.
So I would like to add to it in the sense that UCSD has a lot of collaborative research going on. So even if you are admitted to one department and if you like to work on something cool that is going on in another department, you can always reach out to the faculty in the other department and they'll love to have you work with them. So don't just be restricted by your home department. Just look for opportunities, what excites you.
Thank you. That also addresses one of the questions in the Q&A about, I think someone had a question about being in the EC department and pursuing research with a professor in a math department. Although that might not be a specific department, please check with your program coordinators and your specific program rules for that. But generally, for folks on the panel, the advisor that you ended up doing your research with, were they from your home department, or did you have co-mentors from a different department, or how does that process look like? Are you allowed to kind of explore outside of your program when you're choosing an advisor?
I think like if a professor is affiliated to your department, even if they are from another department, then you can easily work with them, having them as a primary advisor. But if not, then I think you'll have to have a co-advisor or something. But those are the little details that can be worked upon. The first thing that anyone should focus on is to find the right advisor, the right research that they like to work on, and all of these administrative hurdles can be sorted out later.
Think for master students, pursuing the comprehensive exam track, it doesn't matter. You can just like find professor of your interest, could be from any department, and start working under them as long as they're ready to get in.
Okay, let's move on to more of an abstract question. How do you define a successful student? Is this something that came up in a conversation with your advisor? What are some qualities that are deemed desirable for a successful grad student? And what does that look like for your advisor-advisee dynamic?
I can chime in a little bit. I had one thing that successful student is not is like you just can't tie your worth to your data. That's something my therapist told me. So just remember that. Don't tie your worth as a student to like your results, because the science, or sorry, the research will research. It'll just do what it wants. And you have to find values that you are gaining from this graduate program in other ways. And so that might look like just learning new skills, learning how to learn, learning how to read and extract information, learning how to set up collaborations. And then I think a big one that happened for me was like being a good mentor. So I took on a lot of different like undergrad students and rotation students, but I had one really great student who's now a new neuro grad student. And so I think I got to like put a little bit more worth in that. So yes, just don't tie your worth to your results. If you don't feel dumb, then you're not learning.
Definitely bears repeating. Please write that on a sticky note. I think everyone is going to need that sooner or later. With that, let's go to the final question. And since we are close to ending the session, let's also make this a multi-purpose question about anything we may have missed so far, campus resources, support for your graduate journey. If panelists want to share any last thoughts on anything that you think might be relevant to this session. Broad strokes, advice, suggestions.
I think I would say UCSD probably is one of the best in med and engineering, like computer science and med school. So if you're interested, go ahead and find collaborative opportunities that you might not find anywhere else, probably, because this could be a nice place where you're finding top research coming out in the two fields.
I think another important thing for research is going to the conferences, and this is something that I'm not sure if was mentioned in this session yet, but UCSD has some travel grants, and the graduate student union has its own travel grants. So look into that. You have to apply ahead of time. So you cannot just apply for next month. So at least you have to plan, I think, a quarter before. But that's another resource. If you want to travel, I don't know, to another state or something, they might be able to provide some financial support for you to do that.
I would
Any other-
say, oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I would say read your emails because except for being a grad student, you also want to have a life. So read your emails. There's a lot of things happening around on the campus and you can make friends and it's a great way to feel supported. And then also that's how some collaborations may be started. So attend events that seem interesting to you. Yeah, and enjoy the ride. It's gonna be awesome.
Any final closing remarks from the panelists?
I was just gonna say UCSD is as big as some cities. If you don't know, that's okay. Ask questions. I can't speak for all programs on campus, but I know our program is fully staffed and we love talking to students. We can't always help you with everything, but we might be able to get you to some resource that you didn't know existed. So yeah, just ask a lot of questions, engage with your program. Don't be shy. Take advantage of all the different opportunities that are available to you.
Okay, we are approaching the end of the session. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much to all our panelists for volunteering your time to be with us today. With that, I'm just going to close this session by saying if you have any questions, please reach out to ICO at icontact.ucsd.edu. And reach out, go to our website and then you'll find a lot of resources. And I just want to quickly shout out, please go to ievents.ucsd.edu for all the events that are happening, not just now during orientation, but throughout the year. This is your one-stop shop for all kinds of events. Interest groups, for example, this week, people are talking about cooking sessions or hiking spots, how to survive grad school. So no matter what you're interested in, there's something in it for everyone. So please check out ievents.ucsd.edu. This is a screenshot of the calendar from June, but it's updated very regularly. It's a living, breathing website. So constantly, please bookmark it and keep checking. We have a lot of events happening this month. UC San Diego bus tour. There's a women's soccer match coming up this Thursday. There's a social mixer. There's a graduate student social today at Dirty Birds at 5 to 7 p.m. You'll see me there. There's coffee hours throughout this week. We had one yesterday. There's going to be one tomorrow and on Friday. This is at 409 Dance Hall. And quickly, please scan this QR code to submit a survey so we can improve the session when we offer it to students next year. And everyone who fills out a survey is automatically entered into a raffle. So please scan this code and then take a moment to fill out the survey. And with that, please follow us on Instagram at istudents.ucst. And with that, thank you so much for everyone for attending the session. As a reminder, the session recording will be available. And thank you, and have a good rest of your orientation. Thank you. Bye.